If gone unchecked, that will definitely put it in the favor of the blue Terran player to have a lot more money. Both players are banking a lot of resources, so again, I would like to see both of them build, and it looks like the blue Terran player is building a lot more production facilities. At the same time, JDX is still focusing off the same amount he has been doing. Again, I would like to see maybe another, at this point, 2 more armories, or probably about 4 or 5, maybe even 6 more barracks, so he can constantly produce things out of that. Now, what JDX could do in this situation is lift his armories off, put them on the tech labs of the barracks, and then change the barracks into having the reactor, so he can double produce Marines. So if it was in my situation, what I would do, instead of building the tech lab like he did here, I would have just switched these 2 out, lift this off, put it here, and then, like I say, built a reactor on there so I can build double the amount of Marines. And same thing for this. Do the same thing, build another armory, or another factory I should say, switch it off, and built another reactor there. Now, the blue Terran player has a lot more bases at this point. He's got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and one of those, of course, is the high yield to JDX's 3. So there's a timing window again of just a moment that JDX needs to at least move in, do some type of attack or harassment before the blue Terran just gets so far out of control with the amount of expansions he does have. The red Terran, of course, is trying to scout for possible expansions in the top right, but lo and behold, in the bottom left, that's where all of them are at. This high yield expansion is about halfway mined out. As you can see, it doesn't take long at all. And the Sheptennis wisely puts a sensor tower here. This is where he saw most of the attacks going to happen, so that's where he could put the sensor tower. Now, it does look like he is, though, running some Marines to their death over here. And as you can see, they're just going to get bombarded. JDX as well puts a sensor tower right here, which I love this positioning right here, just because he's able to see any type of drops and anything attacking his base. JDX did scout this expansion down here, does bring a couple Marines down here to try to destroy it. That's probably what the blue Terran was coming down to try to help with, was preventing that happening. Now, this ended up getting a planetary fortress, and as you can see, just roasts 4 Marines very, very, very quickly. But JDX is, of course, going to be able to at least get the reactor here, the Vespene geyser, I should say, the refinery per Terran. JDX is going to put a couple missile turrets down here in case of any type of drop. But going back to the sensor tower, that could be any better, because the most direct route to his base, or one of the most direct routes, is right here, so he could see any type of drop. He could see that coming up on the radar. I'd actually suggest maybe putting another one right here so he can see the other side of his base as well. This planetary fortress, even though it doesn't have any SCVs, it's waiting for some buddies to come over and mine for it. Is up and running, is a planetary fortress, so that's just one less base that the red Terran could eventually get. Army size 121 to 95, little supply block action for JDX there, not too worried. But it looks like everybody's working on upgrades. The blue Terran is getting stem pack, while of course the red Terran already has it. And they're both working on upgrades. Vehicle level 1 for the Terran player, armor plating I should say, for level 1. And building some more siege tech, siege tanks. Again, still sticking on, of course, only the 2 at the moment, unfortunately. But is going to actually get a couple of Vikings, which actually is quite smart. He knew that this command center went somewhere, so he's going to bring the Vikings over here and try to hunt it down and destroy it. Very, very good choice at this point. And now at this point in time, actually JDX has complete map control. He's behind on expansions. It's really not that big a deal, because again, this isn't really doing much at the moment. It's going to be bombarded at this moment. At the same time, he's actually going to lose. Oh, maybe not. He's actually going to miss the command center over there. Now, as you can see, the tanks are going to sit back and blast it, so they can outrange the planetary fortress easily. What you can also do, like I said, is if you move this tank back here, brought this med back over and placed it right here, you have a lot more vision, and your tanks can actually shoot a little farther because of the extra vision your air units allow. Now, as you can see, JDX, of course, still has control of the middle, which is definitely a must, map control. And even though the blue Terran player had a couple more expansions, he was nothing protecting them, so they were just easily destroyed, or sitting over here chilling, doing absolutely nothing. I guess the Vikings have stopped their pursuit of command center hunting, and are just chilling out over here, maybe trying to see if there's any type of expansion that might go down here. Now it looks like JDX, of course, does have an upgrade advantage on his opponent, and also has an army advantage, which is not so good for our blue Terran player. He really needs to maybe cancel one of these SCVs and build either that a planetary fortress or turn it into orbital command, since most of his armies right here, orbital command would be sufficient because he'd be able to protect whatever move forward. Now there's a wide variety of units just all over the place here, just trying to scout, see if there's any type of drops or any type of other expansions going down. But for the most part, the middle of the map is completely controlled by JDX. He's got upgrade advantage on his opponents for not only his infantry but also his mech units. And it's really up to Sheptennis here to do something, to upgrade, to do some type of drop. What he really needs to do, what I really suggest on him to do, is do some type of drop into the main or into this expansion and do some type of damage, because he's just sitting back doing absolutely nothing. At the same time, though, JDX is doing a drop inside Sheptennis' base. What I wanted Sheptennis to do, JDX is going to do it. He's going to easily lock down his expansion, probably into catching it on fire, and maybe even destroying it. He's going to continue to focus it down, and it does look like the command center will eventually burn down 2-1 and ends up being destroyed. Now what you probably need to do is definitely get the Vikings out and go and get saved med back. Now during that engagement he probably did lose. He lost 32 workers were killed to his too. So the blue Terran player definitely wasn't focused on what was going on at his base, and easily got all of his workers destroyed. Now this is what I was talking about with the vision. If you get the vision with something that's flying like these Vikings, this siege tank can shoot much further because of it. You can see the radius of the siege tank. Having these Vikings right here, will be able to, I'm pretty sure, be able to attack this expansion. But it does look like the Marines and the Marauders are going to come down here and eventually clean this up. So vision, like I said so many times, is a very big deal. And especially against Terran versus Terran, when you're doing a lot of siege tank play, if you have a slightly higher vision of what's going on, you'll be able to do that. So you'll see a lot of Terrans not always use their energy for mules, but save them for scans so they can scan and see what's going on over there. Now it does appear that JDX does scout this expansion over here. This Terran player is trying to build expansions all over the place. It's probably better to build them inside of a base where they're protected and then move them over. And it does look like there's a lot of SCVs transferring over here, which is not a good thing. JDX could easily turn around and start taking out these SCVs, but it looks like the SCVs are out for blood. They're going to get their first Marine kill. They're like, wait a second, let's kill this thing. And then, unfortunately, they're themselves going to get destroyed by having a lot of Vikings come over here and annihilate what is left of what the little SCVs there. Now, you rarely will see Vikings actually in TvT, but it's working out well. It's actually giving him decent map control because he's able to fly from base to base pretty easily, pretty quickly, so he can see if there's any type of base to go down. Now this little SCV, I feel sorry for him. He got the worst job in the world. He's got to come over here and take on these rocks by himself, or at least until his Viking buddies come over here and actually work on it very quickly. And if JDX gets this up and going, then he'll definitely have a expansion advantage. And since he's just now getting the high yield, he's gonna be ranking a lot of money. Red Terran is banking on 4,000 minerals, and he's maxed out in supplies. So for the most part, he needs to, he might as well go in there, sacrifice a few units, try to end this if you wanted to, or you can sit back and just continue to macro up. If you look at the harvester count, there's no comparison. 50 to 26. Again, part of that is for the fact that the blue player has lost 47 workers this entire match. You got to be careful of your workers. You got to be wary of where they're at and protect them if they need be. JDX is doing a good job of locking down expansions, dropping inside the bases like I talked about, destroying, of course, the SCVs, destroying expansions, and keeping the Terran player at bay. Now keep in mind, sensor towers aren't cheap, they are pretty pricey, but this is actually a smart idea. He's actually going to be completely covered his entire base with sensor towers, but it might not get up in time because there is a drop coming. He does get it up in time just to see this drop. Going to be dropping right on top of him, going to end up taking even more SCVs out. And he really needs to run these SCVs away. Get to focus down the sensor tower. It's a big pickup right there. Not only is he going to kill all these SCVs, but he's going to kill the sensor tower. And the sensor towers, like I said, are not cheap. You might even get this planetary fortress before it expands. I do not believe that the blue Terran player is actually going to be able to get over here in time to actually protect this particular expansion. And it looks like he's going to lose yet another one that time as well. Now he wisely loads up and runs away. No point in losing the units if you don't have to when he gets up there. But Jesus Christ, when did I lose that? It looks like Sheptennis, though, is deciding to go for mass battlecruiser. Typically very uncommon in Terran versus Terror, but you know, this amount of battlecruisers, that's honestly insane amount of battlecruisers. Usually it's just Marines and tanks, but if you think about it, he was able to bide his time long enough, and he's messing with JDX at this point, because I don't even think JDX has scanned anywhere. There it is, the fusion core. That's what I was looking for. I don't even think JDX knows that there's a fusion core here. Oh, actually he does. He scanned it at one point in time, so he does see there's a fusion core. There possibly could be battle cruisers, but unfortunately that is a lot of battle cruisers, and they're fully upgraded. That's 17 battle cruisers. That's an insane army. So even though Sheptennis hasn't had much of an army the entire time, has lost a lot of bases, he was somehow able to mass up a lot of battle cruisers. For lack of term, that is a shit ton of battle cruisers. They all have the Yamato cannon. Of course, JDX does see his incoming doom possibly with seeing all these battle cruisers. But if done properly, Marines can counter these battle cruisers very, very easily. But it doesn't seem like the battle cruisers are going to end up moving out. Probably going to end up blocking down this high yield expansion, I would assume. And that was kind of cool. They kind of dove over the edge there. And as you can see, they're just going to annihilate everything that you see over here. Sheptennis is scouting with Vikings, which is smart. But JDX himself has a lot of Vikings. Vikings do very good against the battlecruisers. So here, oh, it looks like Sheptennis actually misstargeted attack one of his own units. But now here we have a big attack. The battlecruisers are roasting away the Marines, but at the same time the Vikings are doing a great job against the battlecruisers. And it looks like this might actually go to Sheptennis. He has still a big army here, using the Yamato cannon on the Vikings, wisely taking them out very, very quickly. And it looks like Sheptennis, even though he's been behind the entire time with the amount of battle cruisers he did have, he is actually going to hold that attack and end up pushing in. Now, of course, now what can JDX do? He doesn't have much of an army left. It looks like this expansion is also going to be destroyed. But he's got some rallying Marines over here. He probably just needs to regroup with what he got and actually engage all at the same time. But what can he do? He's got all of these battle cruisers sitting in his base, trying to hold them off with one little Viking. Really needs a lot more barracks to come out. Again, if this was a reactor, it might be a little easier. It looks like Sheptennis actually is going to focusing down the first the starports, and now he's going to focus down the supply depots. This is going to be bad news for JDX. He's taking a lot of resources. At the same time, though, he's going to counterattack with a couple Marines over here. Has some Vikings, has some tanks. What he really needs to do is go all in with the tanks to the base of the Blue Terran. Just send the tanks in and try to attack them. There's still 10 battle cruisers. That's a huge, huge force over here. Looks like this one might actually be taken out. Possibly, maybe not. He really needs to focus down this particular battle cruiser because they only got one hit and dead. There we go. Finally gets destroyed. Now you have right here, you still have 10 battle cruisers left. So what can JDX do? He's going to try to get some stores out, do some splash damage. He's got a lot of missile turrets here over here, trying to shoot them down, trying to get these Vikings out. He's got the resources to do it. Just needs to keep building units. Like I say, at this point in time, if I was in this position, I would send my tanks in, try to destroy this expansion, try to destroy something, because these battle cruisers are just going unchecked and just doing so much damage. Even using the Yamato cannons against the supply depots that have been upgraded. But what can really be done at this point? JDX has nothing, no army at the moment. He's got a few Marines here. They do stem up, trying to take down yet another battle cruiser. I'm surprised that Sheptennis hasn't dropped down mules to help fuel these battle cruisers. But as you can see, fully upgraded battle cruisers just annihilate. I mean, there's not much you can really do at this point. Marines do a little bit, but really don't do a lot. The Thors coming in here might be able to destroy this, at least do some damage. just trying to hold out as long as he can. At the same time, though, it looks like on the production tab that the blue Terran is